Hey there, it's David here from the Shed Insider. What I wanted to do today was to just give you a bit of an overview on Queensland Globe. Now, Queensland Globe is a Queensland mapping tool that's provided by the Queensland Government, and there are equivalents for this for New South Wales, Victoria and a number of the other states as well. So this is a tool that I use a lot when I am working in shed sales, basically to find out how far properties are away from boundaries and a whole lot of other stuff that's really interesting. So let's get into it. I've got Queensland Globe open, so I'm going to minimise myself, so I'm down here in the bottom corner, and maximise Queensland Globe. So we'll get onto it right now and have a bit of a look at Queensland Globe and see what it can do. So let's just have a bit of a look here. Righto. So Queensland Globe, basically there's a section on the left hand side that you can search an address for, and let's just search for an address at, I don't know, pick a random spot, 28 Fairway Drive. If I could spell right, I'll be in great shape. Rightio. Now, I don't even know what is on this property, but it sounds like a pretty good address anyway. So, alrighty. So you can see that on the screen on Queensland Globe, there's quite a bit of information, which is really helpful if you are planning to build a shed in your backyard. So you'll notice the first thing you can see is the roads. So up there is the name of the side street, and there is the name of the main street. You've also got the property number, so the house number. So in that case, it's house number 30. That also shows you that it's lot number 32 and the RP number. So there's quite a bit of information there. Now, you'll see that this particular property already has a shed on the property in the backyard. Now, one of the great things about Queensland Globe is up in this right-hand corner here, you've got a measuring tool. Now, with the measuring tool, you can actually use it to measure the distance of a shed or proposed shed from the front, back, side, in fact any boundary, in fact any point whatsoever, and you can also use it to measure the size of the shed itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick measurement here. Look, it's not accurate to the nearest millimetre, but it is pretty close because I've got the boundary set here so that I can see where the boundary is. So I'm going to measure pretty much from the corner of this shed to the boundary, and when I get there, it's about 2.43 metres from the boundary. So that's quite a half decent distance. Being in the city council area that they're in, they've probably needed a siting variation for that anyway, given that they're in a rural setting, and they may have needed it because the minimum setback from the boundary is probably 10 metres. So if I measure this shed over here, yep, there we go, it's 10.9 metres. So that would have been one that didn't need a siting variation, and they've also built it 1.5 metres from the house, so they wouldn't have needed any problem. They wouldn't have had any problems with fire separation there either. So that little tool there is absolutely fantastic. Again, you can see that it's 1.92 metres off the back boundary, so really handy to know. The other thing you can do with it, of course, is you can use the area measurement, which is the triangle tool, to measure the floor area of the shed. So in this particular case, that shed is 67.5 square metres, and going back to the linear measurement, we can see that the shed is 7.5 by 9, so it's probably a 3-bay shed, about 7.5 metres deep. So that's what's really great about the tool with Queensland Globe, or one of the things that's really great about it as well. The other thing you can use that floor area for is to measure the floor area of a property, because in some councils the floor area of your shed can be determined, or is determined by the council as being a percentage of the floor area of your residents, which seems quite counterintuitive, but that's what they do. So one of the things that I'll do when I'm working with a customer is I'll measure their house floor area, roughly, 261.87. It's probably a bit less than that because I haven't taken into account the fact that it's probably got 400mm eaves all around, but it's 261.87 square metres. Some councils will allow you only up to 70% of gross floor area of the house. So 261 times 0.7, biggest shed that they could probably put on that block of land if they're in a particular council is 182.7 square metres. So that's a reasonably decent sized shed. However, I've seen bigger than that, way bigger than that, and they've been needing a DA or a concurrent referral because they're bigger than 70% of the floor area of the house. And also some councils take into account the number of outdwellings that are on the property. So one particular council near where I work allows a maximum of 2 outbuildings, so 2 Class 10 buildings. So this property, which isn't in that council, but they have got 2 buildings there already. So if, for example, they wanted to put another shed or extend this shed here out, put another one there, in that particular council, they would probably need, or they would definitely need a concurrent referral, so an additional fee from the council. So this is really great also for measuring distances from the front boundary if you're putting in a carport. So, you want to put a carport on your driveway, and you want it to be on the front boundary, you can measure from the front of your house to the front boundary to tell you, how long a carport you can put on the front boundary or next to the front boundary if you want to. Also great for measuring, boundary offset, so I can tell that that shed is, 35 metres from that boundary. We've already determined that it's 2 metres from that boundary. So quite a comprehensive tool. Now the other thing that it has here, you'll see it has layers, and you'll see that it says 10 there and 1 here. So what I've done is I've set this to a home location, just a random spot where I use to basically start the mapping program from. So basically the other thing that it can do is you can change the layers. So at the moment this has a whole lot of layers open. In fact, it has 10. And the 10 layers that are open will be showing road titles, boundaries, house numbers, also the lot number of the property. And if I scroll out, I can also see the street names. And if I scroll out some more, I'll be able to see the name of the locality. So it'll tell me that it's in a particular council area, and there's a whole lot of other things that I've got open in there as well. So what you can do with this is you can go here and add layers. So for example, a lot of properties these days have got easements on them, and they may be for water pipes, gas pipes, power lines, internet cables. A lot of them are drainage gullies, like for along here I would expect there's going to be an easement along there, and some people end up with easements on their properties. So you can scroll down through this particular list here, and you can go into somewhere like planning, and you can go into, where are we here? We're in land parcels, and we've got the land parcel label, so that's what I was talking about with the RP number or SP number as well as the lot number. So you're going to find your easements under a section called rights and interests. So if I click on easement parcel, there we go. So I've clicked on that, and there we go. The easements have appeared. So you can see that these particular blocks of land along here have got an easement around the back, or along the back boundary. This particular one here has one on the southern boundary. This one has one on the southern boundary. So if this customer came to me, or this person who owned this property here came to me and said, I want to build a shed and I want to build it in that corner there, sorry, not going to happen, because you've got an easement there, and that is most likely a drainage easement. And you can see in this particular area, as I scroll out and it reloads, there is a water course that's running through, and it is going to, give some easements, or throw some easements up on some of the blocks that are in the area. So there's another one there that runs, down adjacent to that particular residence boundary. So there's another drainage easement there. So again, there are areas that you can't build on. So this particular tool has all sorts of things. If you don't know where to look for the particular heading or the particular overlay that you're looking for, then you can basically search it. So one of the other things that you can look for here is you've got all sorts of different headings that you can find. Like for example, there's postcode. So the postcode for the area has just come up there, 4341. It'll tell you where state borders are, tells you where the mining areas are. You can find out what electoral section you're in. Look, you can use this for planning sheds, but the other thing you can find out about it is you can find things like biodiversity overlays, which are very handy. So if you've got wetlands or springs or bioregions and what have you, there are all sorts of layers on this, and you can tick them and they will come up as a colour on your map. So it's quite a powerful tool. We're back to the home location there, which is just somewhere in, where are we here? West Ipswich. And if I go back to my layers, and I can also, there are flood layers in here. There are all sorts of things that you can find in here. It's quite an incredible tool. So in terms of the way to use it for shed planning is, again, you can basically scroll in, measure your boundaries, and it'll give you pretty much what distance everything is from the front boundary, side boundary. You can measure the sizes of properties and the size of sheds, where sheds are going to go. It's quite a handy tool. It will show you some infrastructure like energy infrastructure like power and gas, but there is another tool which I'll do in the next video, which is one for local authorities like your water authority, your gas authority, your internet authority, all of those things, that gives you much more detail than dial before you dig, which is a great tool. But the tool that I'll show in next week's video will show you where your water and sewage infrastructure is, so that you can tell if you've got a sewage pipe or a water pipe underneath where your shed is going to go, and that way you are not going to be building over that infrastructure and paying additional fees to be able to do so. So that's about it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Just gives you a quick brief overview of this particular one, Queensland Globe, but I will put some links in the video below as to whereabouts the equivalents of this are in other states, particularly in New South Wales, Victoria, and you'll be able to click on those links and go directly to there. You can set up an account for yourself so that you can set your own home location. You can set your own layers so that every time you use the program, it comes up with your own stuff saved. So again, thanks very much for watching. If you like the video, please click the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like it, please subscribe and click notifications to be notified of future videos. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.